Hi everyone, my name is Melissa Olson and you may have seen me around City Council or online kind of complaining about agenda packets not being posted online, and I just wanted to mention, kind of explain the difference between what an agenda and an agenda packet is, because when I first started looking into these I didn't know what the difference was myself. And you see, an agenda is what this is. And it'll probably be backwards for you. But an agenda is basically this, like, for example, the city council meeting that we have coming up on Monday is just a 2-page document. It just, basically states, just the very basics of what's happening at the meeting on Monday. And that's great. The city puts that up. Of course, they just put that on to the website today. Today's Friday, and the time I saw it was after 5. And if we want an agenda packet, which is usually probably about, it can vary anywhere from like a 50 to an 80 to 100-page document, which actually gives the details of what's going to be discussed at the meeting, you have to request that from the city secretary. Now, other cities actually have that online. Cities that have, like Kennedale, for example, other cities that have less resources than what Waxahachie does actually post that online a week in advance for their citizens. And that's really why I've been squawking so much about it, because now, let's see, it's Friday, they've all gone home, which, who doesn't want to go home to their families, right? And so they've gone home to their families, and I've put in my request for an agenda packet, which is how you request those. And so when they get to work on Monday, they may be too busy to get to it, which is understandable, and by law, they have 10 business days to get it back to me. Well, if you notice, according to the agenda that they posted online, there is an item number 14. It says, consider proposed ordinance amending sections 24.51 through 24.60 of the city's Code of Ordinances and matters relating to the Heritage Preservation Commission and the historic overlay districts, providing for severability and conflicts and providing an effective date. Well, that doesn't say much, right? Well, the problem with that is that we don't actually know what that means. And the reason for that is that any of the amendments that they would be talking about would be in the agenda packet. And so for any citizens who want to know what's actually going on before it happens, that's, sorry, my printer just started going up. For anyone who wants to know what's going on before it actually comes into law or anything that happens, the only way to find that out is through an agenda packet. So we won't actually know. So let's say or say I don't get an agenda packet, I won't know, and say it's something that I don't agree with and I want to fight, I won't be able to effectively fight this. Say I feel that it's not fair to homeowners' rights, I won't be able to effectively fight this at the city council meeting until after it's put into law. And as we know, it's a lot harder to fight once it's already put into law. So a great example of this is actually number 12 on the agenda for Monday as well. This is a continue public hearing on a request by the City of Waxahachie to amend the city zoning ordinance number 2287 as amended to sections 31.A.1 through 31.A.9. I know it's a lot of legal jargon, it's kind of blah, blah, blah. To update said sections of the zoning ordinance relating to the historic overlay district and establishing rules relating to historic structures. So basically, and this was proposed at the last planning and zoning meeting. Well, I was able to get an agenda packet that day, and I was able to actually research it that day, which was lucky. I mean, normally who would have the time to do that? I mean, not most of us. So that's actually, really not fair to the citizens to not have that. Pardon me. But that's why it's so important to me to have these. And when I got that agenda packet, the amendment what they want to do and what actually passed planning and zoning that night and what they are trying to pass at city council tomorrow is to, well, as long as, and now this is as it was per the planning and zoning. Now, I don't know if it's changed from then till Monday because I don't have an agenda packet. But the way that it stood after the planning and zoning was that they passed it to where they said that if they want to establish a historic overlay district in those beautiful historic homes, say they have a street of homes or any sort of, district of those homes, they only need 30% approval of the homes in that area, which is really, really a small amount if you're a home that does not want to participate in their programs, which is a great preservation program. I think it's a fantastic program, but I think it should be voluntary because, and they talk about the tax incentives and how great they are, but most people don't participate in that because it's really just a tiny little bit of the city taxes. And so most people don't actually participate in it, and you have to reapply every year for it, whether you're in the historic overlay district or not. So just being in that district does not automatically qualify you for that tax exemption. But my biggest problem is they took out that clause for people to be able to opt out of the program. Not only they put in saying, oh, well, we said that it takes 30% of people to approve it. That was a selling point for them, and I don't agree with that. That's very few people to me. And the reason was no one, and they took out the clause for people to opt out. They said no one's ever used it in 12 years. And I said, but that doesn't mean nobody will. If nobody's ever used it, then why not make it 100%? Why not make it just completely voluntary? These are people's homes and dreams. And once you're in the historic preservation community, which is, again, a great program, the restrictions are very, very, very strict. And in order to do anything to your home, it's a very thick book of restrictions and things you can do to anything facing the street before you can even get a building permit. And they'll tell you about it, but they kind of dumb it down a lot because they want to make it seem not as bad as what it is. And it's not bad. Again, it's a great program, but there are a lot of things you have to go through because of, the nature of what it is. You have to get a certificate of appropriateness to do any major renovation before you can even get a building permit to do anything major to your home. So, there's a lot to it. So I just, and I wouldn't have even known any of that had I not had the agenda packet. So what I'm saying is we have no transparency right now. And these agenda packets are such a major factor because without that, we've got 19 items that are not in there are several items just under the consent agenda, but there are all these other items for people to even consider. So please, please come to there's going to be a briefing session before the city council meeting on Monday. That starts at 6 o'clock. If you can come, please do so. It'll be at the Waxahachie City Hall. That'll be at 401 South Rogers. And that's usually held in the back room. And then the main city council meeting will be held in the council chamber at City Hall. And we would love to have some support. I'm very concerned about homeowners' rights here, especially with that program. Again, great program, but the way that they're trying to do it just is not acceptable for me personally. But I don't know. I'd love to hear what some of you guys think about it. What are your thoughts? Please let me know. And this is why I'm running for city council. I have my thoughts. I want to hear what other people have to think about it. I think we should be better informed of what's going on, and that's why I started Waxahachie Watchdog. So again, please, Melissa Olson, let me know what you think. Waxahachie Watchdog, and I'd love to hear from you. Take care, and I hope to see you Monday.